Dreaming of cracking the UPSC Civil Services examination? Unsure about where to start or how to navigate the challenging path to success? Vision IAS Delhi's GS Foundation Course 2026 is here to provide the right direction, support, and resources to transform your dream into reality. This holistic course is designed to prepare you for every aspect of the UPSC CSE, prelims, mains, and interview. Here's what makes this course a game changer. Complete syllabus coverage from GS prelims to mains, CSAT, ethics, essay, and current affairs. We leave no stone unturned. Top-notch faculty learn from Delhi's most experienced mentors who have guided countless toppers. Personalized mentorship, tailored feedback, and performance assessments to help you constantly improve. Exclusive current affairs preparation. Master the dynamic part of the syllabus with PT 365 and Mains 365 sessions. This course isn't just about preparation, it's about building the confidence and strategy you need to excel. Batches starting for 2026, 2027 and 2028. Karol Bagh, 17th December, 9 a.m. 29th November, 5 p.m. GTB Nagar, 13th December, 6 p.m. 23rd December, 8 a.m. Your journey to UPSC success starts with Vision IAS.
So, in this series of master classes on current affairs, so our next topic of discussion is Glacial Lake Outburst Floods. So, it's a type of flood which is created due to the bursting, okay, that is collapse of a glacial lake. So, what is a glacial lake? The lakes which are formed in the high latitudes due to the continuous melting of glaciers. Glaciers की वजह से बनते हैं glacial lakes. Okay, so there's a small intro to this also. So let's see that to understand the severity of this issue.
On October 4, 2023, a devastating glacial lake outburst struck North Sikkim, sending shockwaves across the northeastern state. The lake outburst occurred in Lonak Lake in North Sikkim, resulting in a sudden and alarming rise in the water level of the Tista River. At least 30 people have been reported missing in flash floods, and 6 bridges have been washed away between Chumthang and Rangpo. This has severed crucial transportation links. What is surprising is that scientists and experts had warned about this tragedy as early as 2003, when a series of dams were proposed on the Tista River. The issue was raised again after the Joshimath tragedy in January 2023. Surrounded by potentially dangerous glacial lakes that can burst and cause floods anytime, Sikkim is a ticking time bomb. Glacial lakes are formed by melting glaciers and sudden discharge of large volumes of water, and debris from them is termed Glacial Lake Outburst Flood or GLOF. The inventory of glacial lakes in Sikkim, Himalaya, prepared using temporal satellite data, shows the presence of 320 glacial lakes. The situation in Sikkim has escalated further with damage to the Chumthang Dam, causing a sudden overflow and a significant rise in water levels in the Tista River. Eyewitnesses have reported a heavy inflow of muddy water in water bodies throughout the Mangan district. In response to this critical situation, residents of Tista, Rangpo, Singtam, and other adjoining areas have been urged to evacuate their homes and relocate to higher altitude regions for their safety. According to Gyatso Lepcha, an environmental activist in North Sikkim, both Sikkim and Joshimath are located in the eastern Himalayas and are facing the same challenges and predicaments. Apart from the dams, rampant road widening, smart city projects, and congested urban planning are putting more pressure on the ecology. It is leading us to nowhere but environmental disasters. According to satellite mapping studies, 21 glacial lakes in Sikkim, including Gurudongmar Lake and Kanchung Lake, have the potential to cause dangerous outburst floods in the regions. Glaciers in the Himalayan region are considered as the freshwater tower of South and East Asia and are strongly affected by the ongoing climate change. However, glacier retreat and mass loss have resulted in a rapid increase of unstable glacial lakes. The impact of this glacial outburst in North Sikkim is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of the region to natural disasters, underlining the need for efficient early warning systems.
So glacial lake outburst is one of the important reason behind the increased number of floods in the recent times. Okay, so best example is the glacial lake outburst, which was just described in this video. That happened last year in 2023 in Sikkim. Okay, that was the outburst of a glacial lake, the South Lonak Lake, from where the actual Tista originates. That lake itself outburst. Okay, that caused heavy flooding in Sikkim. So, first of all, we have to understand what do you mean by a glacial lake. Uske pehle, what is a glacier? What is a glacier? Freezing waters, not. Okay. So glaciers are like large columns of ice, large blocks of ice, large layers of ice, which are usually accumulating over higher altitudes around the mountainous areas. Okay, so around the mountainous area, wherever the mountain peaks are there, whatever the rainfall it happens in the form of snowfall. This snowfall over a period of time builds and accumulates and grows on the mountain slopes and becomes thicker and denser over a period of time, and that forms glaciers. The continuous accumulation of the snow and ice on this causes the movement of them downwards. And the melting of them during the summers is another responsible reason. Okay, so this continuous movement of this glaciers, which is slowly melting, it starts to flow down like a river of ice. A glacier is a river of ice, very slowly moving. Okay, so as long as it is in those regions of the high elevated or in the higher latitude for that matter where there is low temperature, it remains in this form of ice. But as it comes towards the warmer temperature conditions, it starts to melt slowly. Okay, so wherever they are melting down, okay, so let's say this is the mountain slopes. Okay, तो यहाँ पर आके मेल्ट डाउन हो रहा था, तो दिस वाज द लोअर मोस्ट लिमिट. इसके बाद में तो ये आइस नहीं रह सकते कि मान लो यहाँ से जो पानी रिलीज होते जा रहे हैं, सो दिस वाटर गेट्स कलेक्टेड. Okay, so this water gets collected here. So if there is some kind of depressions, okay, there it forms lakes. Can you see here? This is the last part of the glacier. From here, whatever the water which is getting collected, if there is any kind of depression, it forms the lakes. The first thing is glacial melting. The glaciers which are coming from the high elevated regions, it undergoes melting because as it comes towards the lower temperature, lower altitude, the temperature is higher. This melting produces water. Okay, this water usually flows down in the form of streams and rivers, but sometimes this water also contains the sediments derived from the glaciers. What do we call the sediments derived from the glaciers as? इसके अंदर sediments रहता है, उसका नाम क्या है? Moraines. The sediments contain these moraines. The glaciers contains these sediments which are called as moraines. Once the glaciers melt, these moraines are deposited along the sides in the form of lateral moraine, along the ground in the form of ground moraine. In the end, it is called as terminal moraine. Like this, different types of moraines are there. And these moraines are also washed by the rivers and streams which are moving ahead. Wherever these streams are slowing down, these sediments settle down. And these sediments, over a period of time, build. It will dam them. It will stop the movement of stream, water, river itself. Over a period of time, water accumulates. Here it builds a lake. Okay, maybe the water is flowing out slowly from here. Slowly बाहर निकलते जा रहे हैं. There's a slow movement. There's a controlled movement of water. Lakes are usually formed near to the glaciers. We have various different types of glaciers. Tarn Lake, Kettle Lake. They're all glacial lakes. Sometimes it happens that the overall water level in the glacier suddenly increases. Okay, there is some event which can trigger sudden increase in the water level. The faster melting of glacier, higher inflow of water from the mountainous area, heavy rainfall हो गया, बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश आ गया, cloud burst हो गया. let's say there is a cloud burst, huge amount of water starts to flow in. That causes the lake growth. The water levels start to rise in an unsustainable manner. Normally तो lakes तो रहेगा, उसमें कोई issue नहीं है. But some of the lakes starts to grow in unsustainable manner. When the pressure is increasing at a higher rate, these moraines, okay, so they are moraines. These moraines are not very strong structures. They are a little bit weaker structures. They are like unconsolidated sediments derived from the glaciers. Over a long period of time, you exert pressure, it collapses. The way it is happening in Joshimath. The entire region of Joshimath was made up of moraine. It was deposited long back. Okay, too much of pressure exerting is causing slow sinking. Okay, we need to take some precautionary measures, structural measures over there. Now, this kind of pressure on these moraines is not good for these glacial lakes. When some events happens, okay, so let's say the overall moraine has become very, very weaker. Okay, over a period of time it has become very, very weaker. उसके through पानी सीपेज होके एक टाइम में आके ये collapse हो सकता है, failure of moraines due to the excessive pressure exerted by the water. Once the moraines break, it's like a dam breaking. It will release all the water at a time. Or maybe there are external trigger factors. There is a dam, there is a blockade, natural, not artificial. Maybe there is a sudden earthquake, there is a too much of shaking vibration, which is possible in Himalayas, definitely, earthquake prone region. Or maybe there is a avalanche. What is avalanche? Snow. Okay, the snow which has got accumulated suddenly collapses. Huge amount of snow drops. It will push all the water, it will break the moraine. Or maybe there is a landslide, same impact. It will cause the destabilization of this dam and then it collapses. Or maybe glacial calving, faster melting causes this chunks of the glaciers to collapse. Okay, so large block of the glacier जो slowly melt होके release करना था, एक ही बार में collapse हो गया. This glacial calving. Okay, so ice blocks break off the glaciers and may fall into the lake. Suddenly it will fall into the lake, causes the huge water to get displaced, breaking the dam. Or maybe the glacier itself is melting faster, adding the water at a very high rate. Sustainable rates is zyada water is getting added. Okay, faster melting of glaciers, retreat of glaciers, or there is cloud burst. All of this causes sudden heavy rise in the water level. All of this triggers the lake to outburst. Outburst of such kind of lakes causes flash floods, sudden floods, flash floods, which is called as Glacial Lake Outburst Floods, GLOF. Okay? Glacial Lake Outburst Floods. When such kind of events happen, what are the issues, what are the impacts? Okay, so other than the human and economic, of course, there's environmental damage. Okay, so many of the times this entire riparian area, so river plains gets flooded. उसके ऊपर vegetation, wildlife, जो भी है सब wash out हो जाएगा. Right? The entire nature of this river channel gets impacted. Destruction of the entire ecosystem, loss of biodiversity. Okay, so and this faster movement of this water due to the sudden release of water causes riverine erosion, breakdown of these river channels. And in other places, huge sediments get accumulated, there is sedimentation. Flooding, obviously. Okay, so human loss, economic loss, loss of property, loss of life, damage to infrastructure, collapse of bridges, okay, so collapse of the hydropower plants, dam overflood हुआ था, dam collapse हुआ था. Okay, so displacement of community. Okay, people get cut off, roads are totally blocked. In addition to this, such release of high glacial melt causes global warming because the overall, the larger melting of glaciers, faster melting of glaciers, okay, so it disturbs the hydrological cycle. Okay, hydrological cycle disturb hoga. Overall, you know, the glaciers faster melting impacts the albedo, disturbs the heat balance. It has a global climate connection, of course. Okay, this is a glacial lake outburst flood. Normally it happens. Once in a while we see this. Okay, best example of glacial lake outburst flood in the recent times was 2013 Kedarnath. Okay, so 2013 Kedarnath, have you heard of this? One of the worst floods which we have heard in the recent times.
Match your passion for joining the civil services with a strong hold over current affairs. Turn your UPSC prelims journey into success with the PT 365 program starting from 9th January at 5 p.m. Offering an amalgamation of 1-year current affairs in 60 hours, sourced through authentic sources such as The Hindu, The Indian Express, PIB, Yojana, Economic Times, and more. The program is curated to enrich your current affairs knowledge for prelims success. Enroll to transform your preparation with features such as personalized mentoring for current affairs coverage, specific targeted content oriented towards prelims exam, doubt clearing sessions, access to high quality questions with Sandhan personalized test series, access to live and online recorded classes.
So this is the Kedarnath Valley. This is Alaknanda River. Okay, this is the Bhagirathi River, this is our Tehri Dam. Bhagirathi River, both of them merge at Devprayag. So one of the major tributary of Alaknanda is Mandakini. Is that right? It comes from the right bank. This is Mandakini. This is Alaknanda. This is Bhagirathi. Mandakini and Alaknanda merges at Rudraprayag. Mandakini originates from the north of Kedarnath. This is the Kedarnath Valley. Okay, sorry. Here. Okay, so this is the Kedarnath Valley. From the north of Kedarnath it originates. Okay, you must have heard about the very famous Kedarnath Shiv temple, Mandir. One of the oldest part of Choti Chardham of Uttarakhand. Right? Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath, Badrinath. Towards the north of this temple, there is a glacial lake. Okay, that was Chorabari Lake. Chorabari Lake. Chorabari Lake is the origin of this Mandakini river. It originates from this lake only. There are good number of glaciers towards the north of it. All the glacial water drains into this lake, and from there it originates. Over a period of time, it was observed. Okay, so this is the Kedarnath Valley. Okay, so you can see this beautiful valley. Very beautiful valley. This is the temple. Okay, so you can see this entire valley itself. You see, this is the valley. The river originates from the north of Kedarnath. Chorabari Thal, Chorabari Lake. Okay, so in this satellite imagery, it is all covered with the snow, so therefore it is not visible. Here it is, there is actually lake. Okay, so all these glaciers feed this lake. From the lake originates Mandakini river. This lake was in fact was under continuous observation, because we had already had this doubt that it may outburst. Okay, water level was going beyond the controllable limit, but still it was under control. But what went out of control was heavy rainfall which happened here. Okay, so in 2013, when the flooding happened here, there was a cloud burst in this region. Cloud burst is something which is unimaginable. Cloud burst causes heavy rainfall to be dropped in a very small area over a very short period of time. Okay, the heavy cloud burst which happened here caused sudden outburst of this lake. Choravari lake got outburst. Huge amount of water flooded this entire Kedarnath valley. Everything was flooded except the mandir. Okay, so very ancient mandir. Okay, so the earlier times they would have considered all of this. If you see, there is a huge big sized rock behind this. Okay, that rock was a solid stable rock. Okay, so पुराने time का देखो structure ऐसे बना हुआ है, and that rock divides all the water. The force did not hit the mandir directly. The entire valley was flooded. Okay, so the mandir did not collapse. Okay, it survived. Everything was flooded, and totally all the pilgrimage, there was loss of life to a very great extent. Many of them were stranded. They could not come out. Okay, so they were just stranded on the rooftops everywhere. Then they were airlifted later. Many of them died. This sudden addition of water increased the flow of Mandakini beyond control. Sudden heavy rainfall, heavy outburst. First of all, cloudburst itself brings heavy rainfall. In addition to that, this outburst of the Choravari lake added sudden water into this entire Alaknanda valley flooded. Huge amount of water flooded through this. Okay, so then this entire down till Rishikesh. Okay, so till it came here, यहाँ से आके Rishikesh, Haridwar was overflowing. Okay, so आप लोग बहुत फेमसली देखा होगा राम झूला, लक्ष्मण झूला, ऋषिकेश झूला के पास तक पानी आया था. It was unimaginable. Huge amount of flooding happened. It was one of the greatest disasters of recent time, triggered by the Glacial Lake Outburst. One lake, उसके साथ में cloud burst हुआ था. Many such time bombs are ticking because of climate change. What is the role of climate change here? Climate change, of course, causes global warming. Global warming causes higher temperature of the atmosphere as well as surface. That causes faster melting of glaciers. In many regions, wherever we have glaciers, they are disappearing fast. Venezuela recently lost its last glacier. Okay, so many of these glaciers in Rockies, Andes, they are declining. Alps, they are declining. The largest number of non-polar glaciers in the world are in HKH region, Hind Kush Himalayan region, which is called as the third pole. Okay, it is called as the third pole because there's so many large number of glaciers are present. The largest accumulation of glacier in the entire world other than the poles. Okay, we have the largest glacier of Fedchenko Glacier in Tajikistan. The second largest glacier, Siachen, India. Right? So all these glaciers are threatened due to the global warming. They are melting faster. They are retreating faster. In addition to this, the global warming also brings these changes in the precipitation. Unpredictable, heavy rainfall, suddenly heavy rainfall, sudden cloud burst. Why are they happening so frequently? The temperature of the atmosphere is changing. Evaporation rates are changing. The capacity of the atmosphere to bring a steady rainfall, that is changing. It is making everything unpredictable. Increased rainfall, increased snowfall, altered precipitation pattern. Okay, so that causes outburst the way it happened in 2013. Right? That was triggered by a cloudburst. Permafrost degradation. Around the glacial region, there is a periglacial area where there is permanently frozen soil, permafrost. That melting of permafrost is also happening at a faster rate. That adds more water into these lakes, and large number of lakes are formed over there. Triggering events like increased ice, the rock avalanche. Okay, so because the entire land area is getting destabilized. Overall rate of evaporation, overall faster melting of glaciers, sudden breakage of ice, sudden breakage of land area. And impacts are also increasing, so their magnitude and frequency of this GLOF are increasing, and downstream impacts are much more greater. वहाँ पर चोराबारी में हुआ तो ऋषिकेश तक फ्लड आए कैसे? Okay, so everything builds up, right? So the climate change has one of the greatest impact on these glacial lake outburst floods. Okay, so and India being closer to this region of large number of glaciers, India is at the greatest vulnerability. The great Himalayas, which are covered with snow throughout the year, it contains large number of glaciers. Okay, so from Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Uttarakhand, Himachal to Sikkim to Arunachal, there were large number of glaciers. Great Himalayas में snow melt नहीं होता है. Throughout there वो ऐसा ही रहेगा. But now it has started to melt faster because of global warming and climate change. Wherever the snow melting is happening at a faster rate, everywhere you see the formation of these glacial lakes. हर जगह में पूरा area जो melt होगा, faster melt होगा, accumulate होगा, it creates large number of glaciers. Their number is drastically increasing. Okay, so we are seeing increased formation of glacial lake all across the Himalayas. And this kind of faster formation of glacial lake is not something which is stable. Stable नहीं हो सकता. Okay, they are building faster, they are accumulating faster, they will collapse faster. Okay, so the process of formation of glacial lake. Okay, different types of glacial lakes. Okay, so see their formation. One of the recent study of ISRO has recently identified that there are 2,431 glacial lakes which are larger than 10 hectares in Indian Himalayas. Okay, so you can use these numbers for your answers in mains. These are the number of glacial lakes which are larger in size, more than 10 hectares in only Indian Himalayas. 2,400. In that, nearly 25% have expanded rapidly in the last 30 years. In the last 30-40 years, 25% of these, there are these many number of glacial lakes. In that, 25% have rapidly expanded. One which is rapidly expanding, they are more vulnerable to glacial lake outburst floods. Okay, so one of the recent glacial lake which is in news is the one which is there in Himachal. Okay, so that is Gepang Ghat Glacial Lake, which has expanded by 178% between 1989 to 2022. 178%. If you see the overall comparison, it's a very famous trekking spot actually. Okay, so this is the rapid expansion which has seen. This is 1989 Gepang Lake. This is the present one. You can see the size which has grown rapidly. Rapidly increasing. Okay, just in the last 30-35 years. Okay, so another recent study has also indicated that total area of glacial lakes have increased by nearly 33% in the last 15 years alone. Okay, so in most of these states, okay, whether Ladakh, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal, all of them are prone. Sikkim, okay, we saw in that video that there are many number of lakes which are like ticking time bomb. साउथ लोनक लेक के बारे में बहुत सारा रिसर्च रिपोर्ट आया था. इट वाज आल्सो वार्नड. Okay. Recent GLOF event I told you about, the Chorabari flooding. Okay, so Ladakh 2014 में हुआ था. Okay, the village of Gyab, so where total devastation happened. The Sikkim 2013. Okay, the outburst of South Lonak Lake. Okay, so these are the recent examples of these glacial lake outbursts. So in this context, what kind of measures we are required to be taken? Of course, we cannot suddenly stop the climate change and global warming. Okay, so you cannot stop the melting of these glaciers. Okay, so you must have heard that Venezuelan government, so they are trying to stop the melting of that glacier. The last bacha jo tha, it was a total failure. You cannot stop the melting. You cannot stop the global warming immediately. Okay, so by some miracle, even if you are able to achieve the targets of Paris Agreement, still it will have at least some substantial impact on the glacial lakes and as well as our surrounding area. So what measures? First, of course, we have to be prepared. Precautionary measures. We need to identify and map those glacial lakes which are prone for flooding. Okay, these are the major recommendations given by NDMA. The first major measure which one has to take is regarding preparedness. Okay, so most important glacial lakes which are prone to flooding in the coming times, whose size is rapidly increasing, we need to identify them. Of course, we can use the satellite imagery, on the ground survey, satellite imagery, various this technologies can be used. Okay, so remote sensing, drone के through, okay, overall assessment करके हम identify कर सकते हैं. Okay, so based on this assessment, we need to take priority. Okay, कौन सा ज़्यादा chances है collapse होने का, वो सारा prioritize करना है. That is the first part, identification and mapping. And we need to monitor them continuously. Okay, whatever the lakes which are there, we need to continuously monitor them, and we need to issue warning based on the overall level of the threat. We need to ensure that there is a real-time monitoring system. Okay, so amount of water level, the strength in the rocks, okay, how much of seepage is happening, okay, whether there is any kind of collapse, cracks are there on these moraine dams. Okay, all of this we have to continuously observe. Okay, and we need to develop some kind of early warning system. Of course, so in the mountainous area, it is difficult to spread the message. Okay, so there are various other channels, local community radio. Okay, so local so dissemination of SMS broadcasting, ऐसे कुछ services है. बहुत पहले हम SMS वगैरह यूज़ करते थे, है ना, तो सब है. तो जो broadcasting system is there. Or even so the community awareness to make them ready in case of sudden flooding happens, like how to react them, because you cannot wait for NDRF to arrive, National Disaster Response Force. Okay, it will take some time. Before that, the community has to respond. Okay, so the faster the community responds, the lesser the losses. Okay, so you need to develop these kind of systems, and overall you need to reduce the risk. The overall chances of loss has to be reduced. That you can do with the help of structural and non-structural measures. Structural measures control the breaching. Okay, if it is possible, where we can strengthen the overall moraine, increase the overall strength by applying some kind of so additional material, we can do that. That is structural measures. Strengthening of these dams, construction of artificial outlets, because wherever this water level is increasing, maybe you can divert some of the water. Okay, so thoda sa pressure kam kar lo. So these are the structural measures by implementing physical measures. Non-structural measure, land use planning. Wherever if at all there is an outburst in the lower area, जहाँ तक पानी जा सकता है, जहाँ पर risk area है, उसको थोड़ा सा clear करो, reduce the land use over there. Okay, keep minimum usage of land over there, land use planning करो according to the overall risk. Okay, so community awareness and preparedness, to train them in case of so the situation, how to respond immediately, थोड़ा सा उनको aware करो, तो mock drills conduct करो. Okay, so provide them with the safety equipments, provide them with the so some kind of precautionary measures, medicine supply, just food stock supply, जो regularly ready रखना है, check करना है, ये सारा पहले ही ready रखना है. In terms of capacity building, okay, so overall training programs for the local communities, inter-agency coordination, because when such kind of events happen, the major issue is about the coordination. When all the agencies come together, NDRF comes into picture, sometimes Army, sometimes Air Force, okay, so or the local community, jo bhi hai, that inter-agency coordination is a very important thing. Information sharing and learning from best practices across the world. Okay, that ensures that there is a greater capacity. And long-term strategy is glacial monitoring and research to assess which zones are more prone, and of course deal with the climate change, reduce the climate change. So glacial lakes are definitely, see, glacial lakes and their outburst totally disrupt the mountain ecosystem. The mountain way of living is totally disrupted. Okay, so it cuts off the roads, it cuts off the bridges, right? So tunnels, so that will totally make them, so stranded, totally disconnected from the other parts. This is a very serious issue, and it happens in a sudden flash, quick flash mein hoga. And in the coming days, we are going to see more such events happening. Okay, so and we need to be ready to take precautions. We need to be ready. We need to increase the capacity of the community. We need to take all the safety precautions. We cannot stop them. Want to stop them? Reduce the climate change. ठीक है? So any questions? So remember to write these examples. Examples are important. Some data which I give you, that is also important regarding the glacial lakes. Glacial lakes further result in so series of other disasters. So glacial lake outbursts like landslides, okay, like collapse of the snow accumulation, snow avalanche ho sakta hai. So or change in the course of the river also, shifting of the river course like this. Try to interconnect them. If there is any recent measures which the government is going to implement or the program which is going to be announced, please be aware and try to add that also. Okay. Any doubts here? Sure. Thank you.
Get on the right track to commence your journey for the UPSC Prelims 2025 with the Fast Track course. An effective strategy will not only lead you to succeed in the prelims, but is also your launch pad to proceed to the mains. Starting from 19th November at 1 p.m., enroll to transform your journey with coverage of GS Prelims syllabus, regular practice, performance assessment and feedback, dedicated mentorship and guidance. How will the program help you? Result-oriented preparation in GS and current affairs, efficient time and resource management, development of problem-solving skills, motivation, confidence building and enhanced exam readiness.